VW faces looming deadline as potential costs of scandal mount. German carmaker is seeking to finalize an agreement with U.S. regulator, but skepticism remains as Volkswagen scrambles to meet a deadline this week to finalize a fix for almost 600,000 cars in the U.S. equipped with test-cheating software. Many industry insiders are skeptical that an engineering solution is possible. It has been 7 months since Europe's largest carmaker became engulfed in scandal after admitting equipping up to 11 meters diesel-powered cars worldwide with defeat devices that understated pollution in official tests. The scandal was uncovered in the U.S., and it is here that VW is most at risk of big fines because of the country's tough emissions limits. The German carmaker is seeking to finalize an agreement with regulators by Thursday over what to do with 584,000 VW cars that emit nitrogen oxides at up to 40 times above permitted levels. U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer in San Francisco originally set March 24 as the deadline for VW to find a fix for the cars that was acceptable to the Environmental Protection Agency, the California Air Resources Board, and the Department of Justice. Last month he extended the deadline to April 21, citing engineering technicalities and other important issues. Another extension to the deadline for the VW fix from the U.S. court may not help the company, as VW must by German law release by April 28 its delayed results for 2015. That report is expected by analysts to include new provisions for the cost of the scandal, an update on dividends, and a 2016 outlook, none of which may be possible if VW has not resolved the cost of the scandal in the U.S. VW are under the gun themselves, and not just from Judge Breyer, says Stephen Reitman, analyst at Societe Generale. They need to quantify the liability in order to make provisions. VW has so far set aside €6.7 billion to cover the cost of fixing the cars fitted with software-based defeat devices. But it is also likely to face billions of dollars in fines and class action lawsuits. UBS analysts estimate the scandal will cost VW about €38 billion, including €10 billion of civil penalties and €9 billion of criminal fines. By contrast, Mr. Reitman puts the total cost at under €20 billion. Investors are therefore hopeful that any agreement unveiled by VW and the regulators this week will remove much of the uncertainty about the full cost of the scandal to the carmaker. VW and the regulators declined to comment on the state of their negotiations. One person familiar with the talks says, "The intensity of negotiations increased dramatically in the past week as the Justice Department, which in January launched a civil lawsuit against VW, has taken a leadership role." Numerous analysts have concluded that an engineering fix is not feasible for most of the offending cars in the U.S., particularly the older models sold between 2009 and 2014. "It's not really an engineering problem now," says Julie Booth, analyst at Pelham Smithers. "The issue is that there is no perfect fix. Otherwise VW would have been able to come up with it. The problem," she adds, "is that efforts to reduce NOx emissions would mean retrofitting older VW cars with new, heavier components that would increase the weight of the car. That in turn would increase emissions of carbon dioxide and make the cars more expensive for owners to run." Mr. Reitman says a fix for VW's older models in the U.S. could cost more than $2,000 per vehicle and sacrifice performance and drivability. If an engineering fix is not possible for all VW's U.S. cars affected by the scandal, analysts say there are two options. First, environmental regulators could allow certain VW cars to remain on the road although they are polluting more than is permitted. In exchange, VW could pay a hefty fine and also pledge to invest more in electric car technology to mitigate the environmental damage. Julie DeMiche, an environmental lawyer at Haynes Boone who previously worked at the EPA, says it is highly accepted within the EPA and in California to have the defendant find other ways to reduce NOx, but She acknowledges that would do nothing for unhappy VW car owners. The second option is for VW to buy back most, if not all, of the affected U.S. cars. Mr. Reitman predicts that all the VW cars with first-generation EA 189 2.0-liter diesel engines will have to be repurchased at roughly $12,000 each, or €3.5 billion. The remaining cars, he says, will only require minor hardware and software fixes that cost €45 million. VW is reluctant to offer a buyback, say analysts. Not only is it the most expensive option, but such a move could potentially serve as a precedent for millions of VW owners across the world to demand equal treatment. Brussels has criticized VW for giving $1,000 vouchers to U.S. customers and treating Europeans in an inferior way. VW responded by saying Europe is not automatically comparable with other markets. High-quality global journalism requires investment. Please share this article with others using the link below. Do not cut and paste the article. See our T's and C's and copyright policy for more detail. Email footsales.support@ft.com to buy additional rights. http://www.ft.com/cms/o/b72896-99cb-a324273f755.html #x465k Gerhard Wolf, analyst at Landesbank Baden-Württemberg, does not see the risk of a U.S. buyback creating a precedent. European emissions regulations are less strict, which explains why German regulators last December were able to approve changes to VW cars with defeat devices that involved only limited modifications. They do not have a need to buy back in Europe, says Mr. Wolf. They can fix it. Some analysts say the long delay in finding a solution for VW's U.S. cars is not just due to the more onerous emissions limits, but also the company's underestimation of how big the scandal was. When the EPA first revealed the affair in September, VW chief executive Martin Winterkorn apologized and then resigned within days. His successor Matthias Müller took a trip in January to the U.S. where he portrayed the scandal as a mere technical problem. "We did not lie," he said, before backtracking.